There is a famous prophecy that was written by a man named Nostradamus. The prophecy I am speaking of was received by him, and it was well encoded in poetic language. He listed it as Century 2, Quatrain 41. This prophecy has been getting a lot of attention recently because it mentions both a star and a pope. In these present times, with the recent news of changes in the Vatican and a large comet due to fly by the Earth later this year, many people are wondering if this prophecy is now being fulfilled. And so, let's look at the coded language in this prophecy even closer and examine the question, has this prophecy already been fulfilled? Nostradamus speaks of a great star. Now the words great star may at first sound like he is speaking of a sun, like the one at the center of our solar system, but a great star can also be coded language for any bright object in the sky. And so all the while he is speaking of a great star, he can actually be referring to a comet. Comet ISON was first observed in September of 2012, and some astronomers are already calling ISON the Great Comet of 2013, or even the Comet of the Century. But is Comet ISON the great star that Nostradamus was speaking of? He said, the great star will burn for 7 days. Will Comet ISON burn for 7 days? Experts are predicting that it will. Current models show that as it passes by the Earth, it will be brighter in the sky than the moon itself. And since the sun is also brighter than the moon, Comet ISON does fit the description of a great star, burning for 7 days. So what is this cloud Nostradamus is speaking of? Nostradamus was a Christian, and so he would have heard the prophecy of Isaiah, where it is written, for behold, darkness shall cover the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples. The darkness Isaiah described is what we now refer to in modern language as a dark cloud hovering over people's heads. Ever since the invention of the television, the number of false realities and deceptions embraced by the people who watch it have only increased. In these modern times, most people do have a dark cloud of false realities hovering over their minds. As television spread, so too did the cloud of confusion that is now hovering over the entire face of the earth. But in these times, there is also another kind of cloud that has appeared, one that was also mentioned in the Bible. Remember in Matthew's Gospel the story of the Transfiguration? Jesus was transfigured before his disciples, and his face shone like the sun, and his garments became white as light. And behold, there appeared to them Moses and Elijah talking with him. And then, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and a voice from the cloud said, This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. In the story of the Transfiguration, first 2 sons of God appeared beside Jesus, and then a cloud was mentioned. as words were proclaimed from the heavens. And so the cloud Nostradamus was referring to can be coded language to describe a future transfiguration taking place in these end times, a transfiguration that coincides with the appearance of two people on the scene. Most people on the face of the earth do not know that the identity of the two people foretold in the book of Revelations as the two witnesses has already been revealed. Most people do not know that they have almost finished their testimony. It is now posted online so that all the nations can see the true words being spoken from heaven. So it is quite possible that Nostradamus was using coded language to refer to a future transfiguration event when the two witnesses would appear on the scene and reveal true counsel from heaven. The two sons that Nostradamus spoke of can be coded language that refers to the revelation of the two witnesses, coinciding with a great astrological event. The astrological event I am referring to is to the sun at the center of our solar system, encountering Comet ISON, spelt I-S-O-N. The name Sun being found in the name of the comet itself points strongly towards the prophecy of Nostradamus. Because this comet has already appeared in the distance, the prophecy would now be fulfilled. The comet has now appeared to astronomers, and photos of it have been published all over the face of the earth through the internet. Nostradamus was clearly pointing towards other events as well. In the testimony of the two witnesses, it has been revealed that the Pope, who is currently inside the Vatican, is an impostor Pope. It has also been revealed at this point in history that this Pope, who calls himself Francis, has received the mark of the beast. Now, if Nostradamus wanted to use coded language to tell people that there would be an impostor Pope who had received the mark of the beast, how would he do it? If we look carefully at his choice of words, we soon realize that the big mastiff is another way of saying the great mastiff, which is one of the largest breeds of dog. Just as the German army, the Nazis, used the German Shepherd in times of war, so too did the Romans use the mastiff as a beast of war. The Roman army was able to train the mastiff for battle as a very effective 220-pound fighting machine. Now was Nostradamus mentioning a breed of dog also because he was hinting at a pope who would be installed right after one who was commonly known as the German Shepherd. Could it be that Nostradamus was simply translating into poetic and coded language a revelation that states, following the reign of the German Shepherd would be the great beast of Rome? The testimony of the two witnesses reveals that the glory of the olive has fallen because of his cooperation with the Freemason agenda. Benedict lost his anointing and became an Antipope. The testimony also reveals that because the anointing was removed from the chair of Peter inside the Vatican, there was simply no anointing for Francis to receive. Could Nostradamus be referring to Antipope Francis as the Great Mastiff? The testimony of the two witnesses has much to say about this Antipope named Francis. He has been declared to be an impostor pope, an antipope, and an antichrist before all of heaven. He has no anointing whatsoever and is currently suffering from spiritual insanity. So where is the true pope of these end times? Are there any other prophets who speak of the true pope leaving Rome? Many people have not yet heard of the 14th century prophecy by a person known as Brother John of the Cleft Rock. In his prophecy he writes, "Towards the end of the world, the Pope with his cardinals will have to flee Rome in tragic circumstances to a place where they will be unknown." This prophecy, like that of Nostradamus, reveals that the true chair of Peter will be moved from Rome. But it also mentions cardinals, a species of bird native to North America. And isn't it interesting that the word cardinal has always been associated with the color red, a color that in the Americas is well known and prominent on the Canadian flag? The testimony of the two witnesses reveals that the true Pope, Petrus Romanus, has indeed fled Rome and is now residing in Canada. And he is feeding his flock amidst great tribulations, not a flock of cardinals, but his faithful remnant flock spoken of in the Bible. The last true Pope is using the internet as a teaching tool to spread the truth to the four corners of the earth, so that no matter what falsehoods are preached from Rome or through the mainstream media, all those who still embrace the 10 Commandments and who seek the truth can be nourished by the true vicar, the true representative of Jesus Christ the Lord on earth. And so, as you consider all the evidence that has been given in this video, you will be more able to correctly interpret the words of Nostradamus' prophecy, a prophecy that has now been completely fulfilled. I am Petrus Romanus, the last true Pope of these end times, and I have much more to share with you on my website.